Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Gavin from Design Trap, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how I designed this flyer from start to finish. So if you're interested in this kind of content, do well to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on my upcoming videos. Let's get straight to it. First thing we want to do is to create our project file, and for this we are going to be using a size of 25 by 32 centimeters, and we'll leave our resolution at 300. So we click on OK. Next thing we want to do is to create our background. So here I'm going to be using a solid color adjustment layer for my background. So when I click here, it's just going to apply this color automatically, and I'm just going to click on OK. So next thing we want to do is to bring in the pattern that we see in the design. So I'll just drag this pattern which I used for this design, and I'm going to drop on my design like this, and I'll increase the size to something about this, like this. And now the next thing I did was to change the blend mode to overlay, like that, and we just position it like this instead. So I'll just adjust it to be something like this. Okay, once that is done, I'm going to add a light source around here, and for that light source I'm going to add a new layer by clicking on this button, and I'll go here and I'll choose a bright orange color like this one. Just make sure the saturation is at maximum, and I'll click on OK, and I'll switch my blend mode here to linear dodge art, and I'll use my brush. Just make sure that the hardness of the brush is set to 0, and I increase the size of the brush to this, and I will use my bracket close button to expand the brush size to something like this, and I'll just dab here like that. It already gives me a good color in this position. So now I'm going to go back to this layer where we have the texture. The texture is a little too strong at the moment, so I want to add a blur to it. So I'll go to Gaussian blur, and I'll drop the blur radius to something like this. Yeah, the reason for this is so that when I bring in any image into the design, the focus of the viewer's eye should be on the image and not on the background, because the background should never compete with the main subjects or the information you're putting on the design. So I'll just drag this image now and I bring it into the design. This is the image of the main speaker. You want to make his image big, really big, because he is the main speaker of the event. So once I position him there, I'll bring him to the top like this. Then now I'm going to add another light source here to the right hand side. Let me just look for that light. Just drag and I'll drop here. For this one I'm going to make it really big, and I position it there. So what I want is I want just the light to display. I don't want this dark part. So what I'm going to do to achieve that is I'll just switch my blend mode to screen like that, and you see that part of that color is already taken out. The dark part is taken out, but if you look critically here, you see that there is still a straight line here, and we don't want that. So I'll just add a layer mask, and I'll use my brush, make sure my foreground color is set to black, and I'll just dab around this edge like this to make sure that it blends in seamlessly with the background. So once that is done, I'm now going to fade out part of this. So let me bring him to the top like that, or instead I'll prefer just leaving him the way he was, because the light from this layer is illuminating part of his face. So I think that is good for us. So I'm going to add a layer mask here and use my brush tool, and I'll just paint out part of this part of his body from here, this lower part of the image. I'm going to take that out. So to do that, make sure your flow is set down to a low amount, like 35%, and you just keep dabbing like this. As you dab, it takes out part of the image, just like that. Think something like this is pretty okay, and I'll just position him here. Now the problem is you want to move him. This image will be moving along with him. This layer will move along with him, so I'll prefer to instead send him behind the layer and just position it like this. When I'm done, now I can now apply the same color of this layer on him. So let's just bring in the other images and we proceed. So I'm going to bring in this, just drag and drop, position him here and increase his size to something about this. And position him to the edge left side, and then I'm going to add a mask, and I'll use my brush and do the same as I did for the other image. I'll just wipe this part out like this. Then I'm going to bring in the next image, drag, drop, and increase the size. So at this point, you want to make sure that their faces are of actually the same size. So to make this easy for us, I'm going to add some guides so it helps us. So I'll go up to view, rulers, enable my rulers, and I'll just bring the guide here like this. Okay, let me zoom in so I'm a little more accurate with what I'm doing. I'll just put the guide here and I'll put the other guide here. So this is to ensure that their faces are all of the same size. So I think, yeah, something around this is okay. Then for this layer, I'm going to add a layer mask also, and I'm going to wipe out this part like this. This is the size of my brush a little, and I just dab here like this. And here, let me flip my color back to white, and I'll paint back this part, paint it in a little like that. Okay, so now we're going to bring in the next image, which is that of the lady. I'll bring her own image here, and now I'm going to drop down the size, something like this. Yeah, I think something like this is okay. So since she has extra hair above, we want the face, so you are considering the face and not the hair. So I'll increase it a little like this. I think that is okay. So now I'll drag her own image and send behind this one, and I'll move it to the right a little like this, and I think that is okay. Now I'll bring in the next image, drop here, and I'm going to scale it up, something like this. So as you can see, his face is slightly bigger, so I'll drop this to this and I'll position it here like this. Okay, so now all I need to do is to add a layer mask on this layer, and I'll paint out this lower part of his own image like that. Use my brush, increase the size of my brush. For this, I'm going to zoom out so I can see clearly. Now just fade out this part like this, and now I'm going to switch to white by pressing X on my keyboard, and I'll paint in this area like this, and I'll move him in a little. So you see I'm taking the first image from where the image of the main speaker starts to where it ends, so it's like they are actually enclosed into his own image. So I think that is pretty good. The next thing we want to do now is, before coming to do the color grading and bring all the colors together, I'm going to add the theme of the conference. It's Influence Summit. So I'm going to type in influence, and for this I'm going to use a font that is thicker than this. So Dama Gothic is what I'm using. I think this bold is okay. Let me just make everything caps. Influence, and Control T. I'll increase the size to something like this. Then I'm going to close in the space in between the fonts by pressing Alt and the left arrow key to close in the space a little like that. And I'll make sure that this font is, the text is right above like that. Position it somewhere here. Then I'm going to add the next text, Summit 2025. So for Summit, I'm going to use another font, Taruno regular, and I'm going to drop the size to say 72 like this, and scale it down to something about this size. Okay, position it here. Then I'm going to create a copy of this layer by pressing Alt, and I'll just select it and move to the left right hand side, and I'll put 2025. For this one, I'm going to make it bold like that. So I'm going to select the two layers and going to reduce the size a little like this. Then I'll move 2025 to the right hand side. 2025, I'll move it to this side like this. Okay, so for the title we are done, almost done. Let me select all these three layers. I'll create a group for them, and by pressing Ctrl J or selecting all those three layers and clicking on this group folder here, and now I'm going to right click on this, on that layer, and I'll change it into a smart object. Now once it now becomes a smart object, I can easily manipulate it. So here I'm going to press Ctrl T to activate the transform function, and I'm going to change this to warp like that, and I will use this handle here to move this to the top a little, just to warp the text a little like this. At this point you don't want to overdo it, you just want to make it do a slight change, not to do too much, and I'll stretch it like that. And once I've done that, the next thing I'm going to do is to add a gradient to this. So the gradient I'm going to be adding, I'll just double click on that layer. I come here to call gradient overlay. another gradient overlay. I'm going to go to oranges here and I'll select this one, and once I apply that, you see how good it looks. Okay, now scale it down a little and position it here. Then I will now add the remaining information of the design. Maybe I will step the speaker up a little so we can create a little more room down here for the remaining part of the text. So for this down part, I'm going to add a layer above this layer. So I'm going to create a new layer here, and I'll use this dark color here. I'll pick a dark color and I'll just use my brush to paint in this, increase the size to something like this. I'll just paint here. Yeah, so every other information I'm going to be putting there will be very clear and legible. Just leave it at that point. Now I'm going to bring in the dates. It's June 28th and June 29 and 30th. So I'll copy June and switch the color to white. I'll just click here, type in June, Ctrl V to paste in June, and for that I'm going to use Bebas new bold, and I'll increase the font size to about 48 or a little more. Yeah, position it here. And I'll type in 28 and 29 and 20 and 30th, sorry. Like that. And I'm going to bring down the size to say for 24. Maybe just scale it up a little. Position it here. Now I don't like the way this symbol is on this font, so I'll just choose another font, Acumin variable, and I select that so the symbol is a little more catchy to the eye. Then the next thing I will do is I'll add the time. It's 5 p.m. daily. All right, 5 p.m. like that. Then select this down here. I'll type in daily. And then for this one, I'm going to make sure it's a light version of the font, or maybe the book version, and I'll reduce the size so it's about the same height with this other one, and I'll put it to the side like this. And I'm going to use my rectangle tool to create a shape here. And now I'll flip the color of this to black like that, and I'll move it above. So let me take it above the rectangle layer like that, and I'll space the text by holding Alt and the right arrow key like that. Ctrl T to scale it down. So scale it down like this. Position it at the center. So I think it's a little too light even. Maybe just switch it back to the bold. want to spread it a little more. And I think this is good. So I will select all of this text. I think I've used so much space already. I will select all of this, what I've done so far. Control T. I will scale it down a little so I can have a little more room to add the venue, the location of the program to this side. So let me scale it down a little more, and I'll bring it down somewhere here. Now I'm going to select this text. Oops. Make sure I deselect everything. I'll just take this one, move to this side, change it to another font, Montserrat bold. Yeah, like that. Then I'm going to copy the name, the venue, Control C, Control V, select it, drop the font size to about 16. 16 is pretty small. Okay, step this down. Control A to select all. I'll press the Alt and the up arrow up button to close up the text like that, and I'll push this to the top, and I think that is okay. And I will now select this other text information, Control C, I think this is still a little big, so let me just reduce the size a little more to create a little more space. Now I'm going to use my text to change the color to white, and I'll create a new layer. Then I'll fill in the new text I just copied. Control V, select everything. You want this one to be light, like that, and I'll drop the font size to say 14. Let me increase this a little. Then close up the space by using the Alt and up arrow button. Then I'll just position this a little, about this position. So now I want everything to have almost the same size. So instead of this lights, I'll change this to maybe something a little bolder, like regular, and I'll just scale it down a little bit. I want it to be on the same line with the daily here. It might appear a little too tiny, but we are going to fix that. So to fix that, I will select all the layers together, pressing Control and Shift, select all of that, Control T, and I'm going to scale everything up proportionately to about this size. I think right now it looks okay. Now I'm going to add separators in between the various information. So I'm going to use my rectangular tool. Let me add a new layer up here. I'll just create a line here like this, thin line like that. Control J to create a copy, and I position this line on this other part here. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my lens, this lens flare. And remember what we did with the lens flare last time. To take out the black, we switched the blend mode to screen, like that. Then now I'm going to scale it down, make it flat like this, and I'll move it to the top. Let it just be below the summit, like that. Now it's time for us to add colors. Maybe let me add the logo before we begin to add the color. So I'll just drag the logo and I'm going to bring it here. Bring the size, make it's really small. We don't want the logo to be too big, and I'll position it here like this. Okay, so it's time for us to do the color grading. And before we do that, please, if you are gaining anything from this video, like this video, just click on the like button. And if you are not yet subscribed, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on my upcoming videos. Okay, so at this point, next thing I want to do is I want to color grade all of these images. You remember I said when we were designing before that I liked the way this orange color was reflecting on the speaker here. So what I'm going to do is I'll go back to this layer which we have this orange color on. I will bring it to the top like that. So my next target is to make sure that all their faces have a similar color grade. So how am I going to achieve that? I'm going to use this as the sample, and I'll apply the same color that is on his face, because his own color grade is warm, which resembles the general theme that we have on the image. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tweak all of these images to have something that looks like his own. So let me just start with his first. I'll go to camera raw, and on camera raw I'll add some contrast to his image, add some clarity, and I'm going to do a little dehaze. Go to sharpness, and I'm going to sharpen the image a little. This makes the image looks a little stronger and it creates a little more impact. So I'll go to this next image. I'm going to do same thing, camera raw, but now the proportion of contrast I'm going to add on this one is going to be more, because her own image is a little less contrasty than his. So the correction you're applying on the images depends on the state of the image before correction. So I'll add a little dehaze, and here I'm going to hit the saturation, let's say to about 59%, and I'm going to take OK. You now see she already looks like she's in the same environment like him. So that is a goal. You want to make sure that all your images have the same color tone. Now this is a white. In color correcting, you may not have the same exact same color for all of them, but you want that they all are in the same environment. I think that is okay. I may just desaturate this, come to sharpen, increase the sharpness a little, go to my color mixer here, luminance. I think I'll darken the oranges a little like that, and I'll click on OK. You see, he now looks like he's in the same environment like the next. For this one, I'm going to do the same thing, camera raw. So here I'll add some contrast, just small contrast, and then I'll increase clarity and texture like that. Then sharpness, or increase the sharpness. Now the thing that is lacking in this his own image is orange, so here I'm going to add oranges. Go to saturation, increase the saturation for the oranges. hue, bring everything towards orange like this. Take the reds towards the oranges. Yeah, and I think that is okay. Once I click on OK, you now see that the images now look like they were all taken in the same environment, and that is what you want to achieve in your designs. If you have one of the speakers looking different from another, it makes your design look amateur. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to our main speaker, go to camera raw, and I'm going to increase contrast. I want to achieve the same effect like I did for the rest. So you discover that I didn't apply the same effect on all of them. I could put all of them in a group and apply the same effect, but that will not be proper because the images were not all taken by the same camera. The images all have their own peculiarities which are not common to all of them. So you want to do this individually, so that at the end of the day your images will all have the same look. Okay, so once we've done that, what is left for me to do now is to add their names. So I think I'll just come up here, Dr. Madison, Control C, and I think I'll select this, Control J. Oh, sorry, I used the wrong tool. Let me use this June text, Control J, bring it up here, and Control V. Want this to be DR. So this font is only in caps, so I'll change this to Acumin, so I can use small r, Dr. Madison Gaffison. By the way, if you're going to be in Cameroon around June 29th to 30th, you are highly invited for this program. It's going to be a free program, but I bet you will not recover from the knowledge you're going to be getting from the speakers. Okay, so I think I want to drop this like that. My goal is to make sure that all the information are aligned. So you see, if I make a guide here, you can see that my information is all aligned. It's just the logo that is slightly off, which is not bad, like that. Then here the host is Ivan Amatangana. Control C, reduce the size to something like this, and I'll position it somewhere here. So he's the host, so I need to create a shape here to indicate that he's the host. Just create a square like that. Let me zoom in so we can actually see what I'm doing. Control J, hosts. Okay, let me bring this rectangle below. And just space this out a little. Now I want to close this up to the size. Okay. Then I'm going to add a drop shadow on this text like that. Then just copy the same text to the next person. Next name is Frankie Powell. Copy, Ctrl V, paste. Make sure it's all aligned like that. Next person, Joanna Arvin. Ctrl V. And Eno Ayon. So just copy the name. Ctrl C. Ctrl V. Let me speed this out. There's similar space in between the texts. Okay, so once that is done, I think we are good to go with this design. So thank you for watching. Do well to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on my next videos. It was nice designing with you guys. See you in my next video.